I'm Mike from MeasureWorks, and today I'd like to speak with you a little bit about website performance. Performance at MeasureWorks is important, so much so that we've incorporated it in our motto, Get Fast, Stay Fast. And if you're watching this video, performance of your website or web application is probably important as well. You know who else considers performance to be important, and that's our good friends at Google. So much so that they've, since last year, incorporated Core Web Vitals KPIs in their search engine rankings, which determine where your site falls in search results for an end user. They call these Core Web Vitals. And though you could make an entire video just on what Core Web Vitals means, in short, there's largest contentful paint, which is when the biggest chunk of the screen is drawn, first input delay, which is how quickly the page reacts to user input, and cumulative layout shift, which is how much are things moving around on the page while the user is waiting for it to render or trying to use it. But let's jump right in to the Core Web Vitals Chrome plugin. This is free software. It's open source. If you go to web.dev/vitals on the Google site, you will find a link to their GitHub repository where you can dive into the source code of this plugin if you want. If compiling your own Chrome plugins is not your thing, you can jump straight into the web store. Installing the plugin is simple as clicking Add to Chrome. Confirm Add Extension, and you're almost done. There's just one thing I recommend doing beyond that, and that's here with this splotch icon where you can manage your extensions, that you click on Pin Web Vitals to the upper right-hand corner of my browser. And you'll see why that is handy in a second. Now, I've picked a couple of pages in advance to demonstrate the Core Web Vitals plugin with. The first is a page from IKEA that reliably gives me a green light. The rankings that you get from Core Web Vitals plugin are very similar to a traffic light. Green is good, yellow means watch out, and red is bad. IKEA gives us green across the board. Largest contentful paint, first input delay, and cumulative layout shift are all good. Now let's look at a page which, I have to be honest, I had to snoop around on the Zalando website to find one that reliably gave me something other than green, and that was this page for ladies' shoes. I'll hit Control-R, and you'll see already that redrawing of the page is not happening quite as quickly as on the IKEA page. And without fail, we get a red square from Core Web Vitals. If you click on that red square, you'll see the details on what the Core Web Vitals plugin thought could have been better. And reliably on this page, it's the largest contentful paint. Now, one thing to keep in mind when you're using this plugin is it's giving you good information. However, it's limited to your laptop or computer, the network connection that you're using at the time, the configuration, other add-ons or plugins you might have in your browser or elsewhere on your computer. And so it's a bit of a limited view. If you want to explore the end user experience in some other circumstances, you can open up Chrome DevTools and select the device toolbar and say, I want to see how is this page experienced by an iPad user with, say, a typical Netherlands 4G network connection. Everything else is the same. Control-R, it will reload, and the Core Web Vitals plugin will just take its measurements in the background just like it did on the first two pages. The only thing is, because we're simulating 4G now, we'll have to wait a little bit longer also for the rendering on an iPad. And while we wait and wait, our square is gray. Connection is established. Some things are starting to show up on the page. And very shortly, Core Web Vitals should tell us something about the performance of the page loading. And waiting. and waiting. And not surprisingly, we've got a red result. The plugin says that it took over 50 seconds for the largest contentful paint to complete. And we saw this image of shoes took a very long time to download and to render. Now, I could talk for hours about the other types of information that you can get out of tests like this, but for the purposes of this video, we'll stop here. If you have questions, I recommend first starting on the side of Google, and if there's anything we can help you with, you can always contact us via LinkedIn. Thanks for listening.